What if your anxiety isn't a sign that the world is falling apart, but it's a sign that you expected it not to? You see, we live in one of the safest, most technologically advanced, materially abundant periods in human history. By almost every long-term measure, life expectancy, violence rates, medical advancement, things are better than they've ever been. And yet anxiety is everywhere. Not just clinical anxiety, atmospheric anxiety. This low-grade hum in the background of modern life. A pandemic shut the world down. Wars are re-emerging. Inflation keeps climbing. Political divisions keep intensifying. Artificial intelligence began reshaping entire industries almost overnight. Even if your life is physically safe, something feels fragile, as though stability is thinner than it used to be, as though something could crack at any moment. But here's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't new. Uncertainty has always been the default condition of human life. For most of history, war wasn't shocking, it was expected. Plague wasn't rare, it was cyclical. Political collapse wasn't an exception, it was routine. Entire civilizations rose and fell within a few generations. The difference isn't that the world suddenly became unpredictable. The difference is that we became accustomed to the illusion that it wouldn't be. And when that illusion fractures, anxiety rushes in to fill the gap. And this is exactly the kind of problem the Stoics were built for. So Stoicism, which is an ancient Greek philosophy, emerged around 300 BCE during periods of intense political instability in ancient Greece. And later, in Rome, Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire facing plague, invasion, economic strain, and betrayal from within. He did not govern during peace, he governed during collapse. And yet, in the middle of all of that chaos, he wrote something remarkably simple. That you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This wasn't motivational optimism, it was psychological survival. The Stoics divided reality into two categories. There are things within your control, such as your judgments, your intentions, your actions, your values. And then there are things that are outside of your control. So things like the economy, other people's opinions, war, disease, political shifts, technological disruption, and just the future in general itself. Anxiety begins when we emotionally invest in the second category as if it belongs to the first. When we demand that the economy cooperate with our plans, when we expect political systems to behave predictably, when we assume technological progress will unfold at a pace that feels comfortable to us, when we believe that stability is something the world owes us. And from a Stoic perspective, uncertainty is not the problem. Our resistance to uncertainty is. Modern life has conditioned us to expect clarity. GPS prevents us from getting lost. Weather apps forecast the week ahead. Tracking numbers tell us where our packages are in real time. Algorithms anticipate what we want before we consciously articulate it ourselves. We live inside systems designed to minimize surprise, but our nervous system evolved in environments where surprise was constant. Now, we are hyper-informed about global events that we cannot influence. We scroll through wars that we cannot stop, markets we can't stabilize, technologies we barely understand. We feel aware, but awareness is not the same as control. And when awareness collides with powerlessness, anxiety emerges. And the Stoics would argue that we have confused being informed with being responsible. Knowing about something does not mean you are obligated to fix it. Consider a simple example. You wake up tomorrow and read a headline predicting economic downturn. Immediately, your mind begins constructing these scenarios. What if I lose my job? What if my savings disappear? What if everything I've built collapses underneath me? And notice what happens. Nothing has occurred yet, but your interpretation of a possible future has already triggered a physiological stress response. So your heart rate is going to start to increase. Your body tightens. Your mind accelerates. The Stoics train themselves to pause at precisely that moment. They would ask a simple question. Is this within my control? And if the answer is no, then the next question becomes, what is? You cannot control inflation, but you can strengthen your skills. You cannot control market cycles, but you can manage your spending. You cannot control political outcomes, but you can maintain your integrity and turn up at the voting ballot. You cannot eliminate uncertainty, but you can cultivate resilience. The mind calms when it is given a domain of action. Anxiety thrives in the gap between perceived responsibility and actual power. And Stoicism narrows that gap. Epictetus, one of the central Stoic thinkers, was born enslaved, and his body was not free. He's had circumstances that were not negotiable, and yet he taught that freedom begins in the space between stimulus and judgment. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. And that distinction created psychological sovereignty, even in the chains that he was in. And this insight later influenced modern cognitive behavioral therapy, which is now considered the gold standard treatment for anxiety and depression. So CBT operates on a similar principle that events do not directly cause emotional suffering. Our interpretations of those events do. So two people can face the same uncertain situation, and one spirals, the other adapts. The external event is identical, the internal judgment just differs. And when you interpret uncertainty as catastrophe, your body responds with threat. But when you interpret uncertainty as inevitable, your body responds with adaptation. Acceptance in Stoicism is not passive resignation, it's strategic clarity. So it is recognizing that arguing with reality does not improve it. And many of us are not anxious because life is uniquely unstable. We are anxious because we were raised in historically unusual conditions: prolonged peace, expanding prosperity, predictable institutions. Stability became normal. So when uncertainty reappears, as it always does, it feels like something has malfunctioned. But from a long historical view, nothing unusual is happening. Life is behaving exactly as it has always: unpredictable, fragile, and temporary. The Stoic response is not withdrawal, it's recalibration. Instead of attempting to control events, you just strengthen your character. Instead of trying to eliminate uncertainty, you increase your tolerance for it. Instead of demanding guarantees, you practice adaptability. Inner stability does not come from securing the external world. It comes from aligning yourself with what is actually yours to govern: your effort, your judgment, your conduct, your response to things. And when you stop requiring the future to cooperate with your expectations, something subtle starts to change. The world, it might remain volatile, markets may fluctuate, technology will continue to accelerate, loss will still occur. Change will not slow down simply because we feel overwhelmed. But you are no longer at war with reality itself. And when resistance softens, anxiety loosens much of its fuel. So this doesn't mean that it just disappears. It means fear no longer dictates your orientation to life. In an uncontrollable world, peace it's not the result of certainty. It's a result of understanding the boundary between what belongs to you and what never did. And the Stoics were not promising a calm external environment. They were offering something more durable, which is a steady mind within an unstable world. And the world will remain unpredictable. It always has been. But your response does not have to be. And perhaps that is the deeper lesson here. Anxiety does not dissolve because the world becomes safer. It dissolves when we stop demanding that it be safe. When we release the illusion that stability is guaranteed. When we loosen our grip on outcomes that we cannot engineer. When we return our attention to the only domain that has ever truly been ours. And it's not the economy, it's not politics, it's not the future, but it's the quality of our judgment in this moment. The world may never ever offer certainty, but clarity is always available, and sometimes that clarity is just enough to quiet the noise.